Cronus Zen through the P5mate. Here we go. We've got full control of the Zen. When I back out of the menu, you can see I have full control of my PlayStation 5 menu with the controller.
Why can't I get my P5mate working on my PlayStation 5? It's so frustrating. Cronus Zen on the PlayStation 5 and other peripherals using the P5mate. This is your full connection and troubleshooting guide. Hello and welcome back to Gears and Tech. The number one question I get when people are connecting their P5mate to the PlayStation 5 is, why doesn't it work? And a lot of people have wrongfully said that this is junk and it's crap and it's e-waste and it's garbage. Well, it's not the easiest to set up, but I'm going to walk you through exactly how to connect your P5mate for the very first time to your PlayStation 5, including a full troubleshooting guide for all of you guys who are having difficulty connecting this up in the first place. Once you have it working the first time, it will work every time. But there's a lot of steps here and there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and it's hard to tell really which problem you're having. So I'm going to show you exactly how I set it up for the very first time so you can do it too. Believe me, once it's working, you will not want to go back. So it's worth the hassle. This is going to get a little bit long and there's going to be a lot of questions and answers in here. So try not to skip ahead because you may skip a step and you'll be stuck with it still not working. Follow along with me and do this. Back it up if you have to, pause it if you have to, but stay with me all the way to the end because I promise when you're done, you will have your P5mate working. Promise. Now the first thing that you want to do is go into your settings. So you need to boot up your PlayStation, go into settings. We are looking for accessories. Go to the accessories section and then we're going to go to advanced settings. In advanced settings, we're going to go to turn off Bluetooth. Now, first thing you're going to ask me is, Anton, do I have to turn off Bluetooth? What if I have Bluetooth headphones? What if I have Bluetooth something else that I really want? Trust me, for the first connection, yes, you want to turn off Bluetooth, and I'm going to show you why, because if I go to Bluetooth accessories, I have 3 DualSense wireless controllers already connected through Bluetooth. The PlayStation 5 will default to the Bluetooth connection if it's an option. So you could go through all of these settings, hit the PS button on your controller, and it will connect through Bluetooth, effectively bypassing this whole setup and make it so it's not actually working. You'll be able to control the PlayStation, you'll be able to control your Zen, but they won't actually be connecting through the PlayStation the way that you think. For the first connection, we want to go to advanced settings, turn off Bluetooth. It's going to give you a warning. Are you sure? Because we really think you should leave it on. Yes, I do. Now it's going to restart your PlayStation 5 and it will have Bluetooth off. This will make sure that the only way your devices connect is wired. I'm going to remove my entire setup here and start all the way back at what I do on my very first connection. So I'm going to unplug this. I'm going to unplug this and unplug this, this, and this. Okay, these are all unplugged. Now, when you unboxed your P5mate, you had your P5mate and you had 3 USB cords. The first thing we want to do is test that these cords actually work. I'm going to walk you through the best way to do that. Now, you might also have your own collection of USB cords. We're going to test those as well because any cords that you might find yourself using in this, you want to test and verify that they work at this step before we move to the next step. Trust me, do not skip this step. Test every single cord. And I'm going to explain why as I go through here. Now I'm going to take my regular PlayStation 5 controller and I'm going to use that for this test. Now, all of these cords are USB-C to USB-A. The front ports on my PlayStation 5 is a USB-C and I need a USB-C in here. Now you can introduce a dongle like this, which converts a USB-A into a USB-C. So I have USB-C to USB-C, but I'm going to show you something that could cause you problems if you do this. So I'm going to plug in my adapter end to the USB-C port here. Now with it plugged in, I'm going to press the PS button on my controller and you can see that it opened up the menu that said who's using this controller, and I can go back and forth. So I know that this controller is working. I don't need to go in. Now, if you're not on this screen, if your PlayStation boots directly into the menu, you can still do this. So I'll show you guys real quick what that looks like. I prefer to do it the other way, but on here, you can see I'll unplug it. It'll say DualSense disconnected. If I plug it in, and then we'll wait for that menu to go away, and I push the PS button, it will show that a controller has been connected, and then I can move around. So I know it's connected now that way, but I prefer to do it on the other menu. It's a little bit less distracting. But from this screen, it's really easy. If you push the PS button and it goes like this, the controller is detected. It's working. There's no question. As soon as you unplug it, the screen goes away and it's looking for the controller again. So you just saw that this cable's good. I'm gonna just turn it around. So I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna plug that end in there, and I'm gonna plug this end into the controller. And when I push the PS button, the controller light's blinking, and it will never, ever, ever, ever connect. For whatever reason. I don't know. I don't understand why. But if I plug this into the back of the PlayStation, it does work. For some reason, all of my adapters, when plugged in the front, going into the PlayStation like this, it does not work. If you are using one of these dongles, it seems like you can use it on the PlayStation 5 side, but you can't use it on this side. So that's the first trick to making sure that this works. But we've tested this cable. I know this one works, okay? So I'm gonna put that right here. Now, I've got the other USB-C cord. Now I know that I have to put this adapter, which worked, over here. I'm gonna plug that in like that, and I plug this in like this, and I push the PS button, starts blinking, I push it again, doesn't work. Push it again, still doesn't work. Now this cord came with the P5mate, but it was a dead cord. It does not work. This cord is no good. So if I was trying to use this cord for my connection, the P5mate will never ever work because this cord doesn't work. Why exactly did they give me this cord? I don't know. I have theories, but you definitely want to test your cords because one of my cords so far is not functioning. So I'm gonna throw it over there so I don't accidentally try to use it. So I have one known good cord, but I need more cords. So now I have this cord. This one also came with the P5mate. This is USB-A to USB-A. Now, the problem I'm gonna have is, well, I have to use this adapter to make it. Well, even that doesn't work. So I'm gonna plug it into the back of my PlayStation, try using this adapter here just to see if it works. So I've plugged it into the back USB-A port. I'm gonna plug it in here, and it does work. So what we've learned is the front USB-C ports do not work with these USB-A to USB-C adapters in this configuration, but the rear port does. Why? I don't know. So I have discovered that for the most stress-free connection, I'm going to use the back port on my PlayStation 5. Does the front port work? Yes, it does work, but not all the time. So if you're having difficulty with your connection for whatever reason, go to the back USB-A ports, okay? If you have the older PlayStation 5, the front USB-A port will also work, but the USB-C port seems to be a little bit finicky. It doesn't quite work every time, and that becomes a problem for your connectivity. So this cord, I've proved it's a good cord, okay? So I'm gonna unplug that again. So now I only have 2 cords, but I need more than 2 cords to do all of my connections. So I'm gonna continue testing my cords, doing the exact same process you just saw, just going through my additional cords. Test them all. If you think it works, make sure it works, okay? USB-A to USB-C, let's try it with the adapter. There it is. Plug it in here, push the PS button, push it again, that cord works. Excellent. So now I have a pile of tested and known working cords. Very important that they are tested and known working. The next step we're gonna do is take one of these cords and actually go into the PlayStation 5. So I'm gonna take this cord for no particular reason. It's just the cord that I happened to grab. And all I'm gonna do is still connect the PlayStation 5 controller up. And I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna go into my menu, and now I'm in the PlayStation, and I know it works. Now what I wanna do is pull up the bottom menu, and I wanna go to accessories. You saw where I picked accessories there, and it says DualSense wireless controller. That's good to know because this is a DualSense wireless controller. We want to confirm exactly what it's saying is connected to the PlayStation currently. Now I'm going to unplug it. You'll see the controller will go away. And I'm going to take the cord that I have in the back. Remember I said that the back cord was the better one to use, and I plug it into the P5mate, okay? Now, there's a little light up here. That light never ever turns on. A lot of you have said, well, I don't see the light on, so I don't think it's working. The only way you can make the light turn on is if you unplug it and you hold down this little side button, the update button, you push it, and while you're holding it down, you plug it in, then the light will turn on. But the PlayStation 5 will not do anything with that because we're actually in PC update mode. So this confirms that it's powering on and it's doing something. It's the only way that you're gonna see it do anything. When you unplug it and plug it back in, the light is off. Why is the light off? I don't know, it's kind of weird that they wouldn't turn that light on to confirm that it's working, give you some sort of error messages or something, but for whatever reason, you will have no light. Make sure that you are plugging in the cord from the PlayStation 5 to the small end of the triangle on the P5mate. It should look just like this, okay? Now I need to plug my controller in. So I'm gonna take the cord that I just had plugged into the front, and I'm gonna plug that into the bottom of the P5mate, and then I'm gonna plug this cord into the PlayStation 5 controller. That's all I'm gonna do right now, into a PlayStation 5 controller. I'm gonna push the PS button. You can see it says there's a controller now. And if I go to the accessories menu, now it says controller. It no longer says PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. That's important because the P5mate should show up as controller. This is how I know now that the P5mate is actually connected and working on my PlayStation 5. And if you get to this step, the rest of the steps are really easy. Do you have a Switch Pro controller that you want to use? Easy. We unplug the PlayStation 5 controller. It still says controllers plugged in. I plug in my Switch controller and all of my buttons are working. So you can see my Switch Pro controller is now the controller that I'm using, okay? If I pull up the menu again and I go to controller, it still says controller. So there's a Switch Pro controller working wired with the P5mate. Have an Xbox controller? No problem. Take the same USB-C cord, plug it in to here, and push that button, and now all of a sudden I have an Xbox controller working on my PlayStation 5. Pull the menu up, and again it still says controller because the P5mate's the controller and it doesn't tell the system that you've unplugged any controllers. Do you have the Strike Pack Horizon Vista for the PlayStation 5? Or do you have the newly released Strike Pack for PC on DualSense controller? Well, it turns out they're actually the exact same controller mod. It's just that the Strike Pack guys did not want to have people coming after them every time to say, hey, this doesn't work on my PlayStation 5 anymore. WTF, man. So they're selling it in the PC section. If you're looking at getting one, it is still there. It is still in stock as a PC accessory. Why is that? Well, it's because you can go like this, stick your Strike Pack mod on your DualSense controller, plug it into your PC, and it will work perfectly fine using all of the mods and everything on PC games, but I'm gonna air quote, doesn't work on the PlayStation 5. But as you guys are about to see, this is the same USB-C cord that we had before. We're just gonna plug it into Strike Pack. You can see it turns on, and all of a sudden, our controller's working. It still shows up as controller because the P5mate is the controller. This is now the gateway to get our Strike Pack working, and I can go in to all the games. All of my back buttons work, so I've got one of these mapped to X. Which one is it? That one right there, and one's O. So I can push my back buttons. You can activate all of the mods using the app. It works flawlessly, okay? So that totally works. Next, you're gonna say, well, what about Bluetooth? What if I had an 8-bit DOE or the Brook Wingman? Could I plug this in like this and have it work with Bluetooth connectivity? And the short answer is, I'm gonna go like this, put that in pairing mode, and I'll put this into pairing mode. I'll take my Xbox controller, I'll put that into pairing mode and see if this will connect. And it's looking for Bluetooth device to connect to. It's not actually gonna work. And just in case, I can also take my PlayStation 5 controller. Hopefully it's got enough juice. Put that into pairing mode. So now here's the deal. It has paired. If you look at this, you can see that blue light stopped blinking, this blue light stopped blinking, but it's not working. So for whatever reason, the P5mate is not taking the protocol from this and putting it through, even though the Brook has connected to my DualSense controller. So it connects, it just doesn't actually work with the P5mate. And that's gonna happen. Sometimes that's gonna happen, okay? So Bluetooth dongles do not work. So we've shown basic connectivity to pretty much all controllers. Now, the question you're gonna ask me is, Anton, can I use my Razer Wolverine Pro or my Astro C40 or my, fight stick or whatever, or my steering wheel as part of the troubleshooting process? Get yourself to this point right here using a regular PlayStation 5 controller. Make sure that you can use it like this. Make sure the P5mate is connected. Make sure you're connected through here. Make sure when you pull up the accessories, it says controller. If you've gotten yourself here and you're ready to try your mouse and keyboard adapter, your steering wheel, your whatever, at least you know from here over is working perfectly, and then you can have a better way to troubleshoot and diagnose any problems. The one thing I will add is that on the side of the P5mate right here, there is an external power port. Anything more complex than just a controller will have the potential to pull a lot of extra power. And it's important to have a power brick with, in my case, an extra long cable. I'm gonna plug this in like this, and then you can plug this guy into the side here, and then plug this, in my case, I'm gonna plug it over here. And what this will do will supply extra power to this so that if you plug in a dongle or accessory that needs lots of power, it won't short out the bus to the PlayStation 5. Something else that many people experience, if you get it working with this configuration, but then your dongles or accessories aren't working, look at the length of the cord that you're using from the PlayStation 5 to the P5mate. You want to have the shortest cord possible. So don't add a 10-foot USB-C cord. Use the supplied USB-A to USB-A cord, nice and short, and then use your extensions on the other end. That will make sure that the communication is not interrupted for any reason from the PlayStation 5 to the P5mate. You don't want to switch up the configuration once you get it working. What about Cronus Zen? I showed you guys it working in the video already right at the beginning, but let's connect it up. Now, the first thing I have an old Zen. So I have the micro USB port on the back. If you have the newer Zen, it's as simple as unplugging USB-C cord that we've been using through this whole thing and then plugging it in here. I don't have that. So I'm gonna use my known good micro USB cord, okay? So I'm gonna plug this into the front of the P5mate. I'm gonna plug this into my Zen. Now my Zen's gonna boot up right away, and now I can connect with the same cord that I just had a minute ago into my Zen, and then I'm gonna take the same controller that I just had, I'm gonna plug that in, I'm gonna press the PS button, and now it's working, okay? So I've got, this is all going through all of this, and if I try to pull up the menu, you aren't gonna see it very well, but I can pull up the menu on here so I can control this with the controller and change all my settings and everything, and then go in here. Now, some of you guys are gonna say, show it working, show it working. I showed it working in a different video. This video is long enough already. This is just a troubleshooting guide to help you get your peripherals working and connected. So it's connected, it works. Trust me. If you don't trust me, that's fine. Don't trust me, but it works, okay? So I'm not gonna show you exactly how to set up all the mods, how to do all that stuff. I just wanna show you that it does work. For those of you who wanted Bluetooth and you really wanted Bluetooth to work, you can actually do the Bluetooth connection using the Zen. So I can unplug everything from here. And then this controller has been paired to the Zen already. So now I am connected through Bluetooth using the Zen. So I can be totally wireless, and you can see I can pull up the menu here and I can still toggle through this menu. That's how you know I'm connected through Bluetooth. if I go, because I turned Bluetooth off, and this is why you want to have Bluetooth on the PlayStation 5 off, because this controller might just be connecting through Bluetooth to the PlayStation 5 directly and you wouldn't know. But if I pull this up, it still says controller instead of DualSense controller. That's one of the ways that I know that I'm currently connecting through the P5mate using the Zen, using the Bluetooth connectivity. Now, many of you guys in my other video, when I showed it in a short, you said, okay, but can I use a controller wired through the Zen? Yes, I just showed you guys that. Can I use my Switch Pro controller through the Zen? Yes, if you can use it with the Zen, it works with the Zen. Can I use mouse and keyboard with the Zen? Yes, if you can use mouse and keyboard with the Zen, you can still use mouse and keyboard with the Zen. So I can't show you guys all of the connection options using all of the different devices here, but this should be enough information to get you guys connected in the first place and making sure it works. Now that we've got it all connected, let's do a cold boot with this and just make sure that it actually works, okay? So in my case, I want to use my Zen with my P5mate. I'm gonna pull up the menu here. I'm gonna go to power and I'm gonna go turn off PS5. So we're turning off the PlayStation 5, okay? Straight turn off. Once it turns off, we'll power it back on and we'll just make sure that this connection is gonna work for us. Okay, so the PlayStation 5 is now off. You can see my video capture is saying I can't see a signal. I'm gonna press the PS button, you can hear it turn on. In a second, we will get a signal on here and it will go to the login screen because I've set it to look at the login and not just go right into the system. So here it is booting up and it wants me to connect to controller. I just pressed the PS button on here and right away it's working, okay? I didn't do anything with this. I can go like this and still pull up my Zen menu. So it turned on automatically. So I'll go back to power and we'll shut it off again and then turn it back on, okay? Now I'm not gonna unplug anything. I'm leaving this connection all on. So you should see my Zen might turn off. I might have USB mods. So this is how my PlayStation 5 sits normally. Actually, I don't turn it off. I put it in standby, but this is 100% off. Now I don't know if I push the PS button, will it turn on? No, it won't. Okay, that's okay. So you have to get up, push the power button on there, and when it boots up, all of this is just gonna work right away. Okay, so here it is. It's booted up to the main screen. It's saying, you know, press the PS button. And because this is already all synced, I just push the PS button and it goes right into PlayStation 5. There I am, I'm playing. This is not a glitch method. There's a lot of people saying, whatever, the Zen already works. Using this thing, you just go into this menu, you turn this off, tap X 100 times, press the power button, reboot it, do this, do that. That's just a mess, it's a disaster. This thing just works just like this all the time, exactly like this. Now, it works with all of these controllers that I've shown you guys already, and I've tested it with pretty much every configuration. You can make it work your way. But at the bare base level, you want to make sure that you can get a regular PlayStation 5 controller connected up to the P5mate and working, and it all starts from there. If you can't get that connection working, you have to make sure that your cables are tested and working properly. Make sure that you can connect using that process and everything else will work. I really hope this helps you guys out. I don't want people buying hardware and then having it not work. If you want to get one of these, if you've seen this and you're like, holy crap, that's amazing, why haven't I heard of that before? I'll put a link in the description where you can get the P5mate. And now, I told you guys to stay all the way to the end of the video. I'm glad you did, because the question I keep getting asked is, Anton, what about the B-Savior controller? Does the B-Savior controller still work? The answer is yes. The B-Savior controller has worked ever since the day it was released, and it never stopped working. The B-Savior controller, if you want to make sure that you always will have a way to connect, if you're worried, will the P5mate stop working? I'll tell you, it's not gonna stop working, and I'll show you why in a second. But the B-Savior controller will always work because it actually piggybacks off of a factory Sony PlayStation 5 controller, and the system thinks that you have a PlayStation 5 controller all the time, always. So there is no need to worry about this getting blocked. It will always work. If you haven't heard about the B-Savior controller, I've got plenty of videos showing this thing off. It is fantastic, and I've been using it as my daily driver ever since I found it a couple years ago, and it is phenomenal. but it's expensive. And that's why the P5mate is the cheaper alternative. Now, why won't the P5mate get blocked? It's because of this. This is the Razer Wolverine Pro controller, V2 controller. What's special about this? Well, it turns out the chip inside here, which is a licensed PlayStation 5 chip. This is a licensed controller that Sony says will work on the PlayStation 5. The P5mate uses the exact same chip, and I can show you why that is, okay? I'm gonna take out my handy adapter here because I need a USB-C cord because I have Bluetooth off. But if I plug this in like this, and I push the PS button, this is gonna turn on, and then I can pull up the menu and you can go here. It says controller. This is the Razer Wolverine controller and it reports it as controller. Now, I'm gonna plug in my PlayStation 5 controller and I push the button and I'm gonna pull it up. Oh, it wants me to update my controller. I'm not gonna do that, okay? But if I pull up the menu here, now it says this is a DualSense wireless controller because that's what this is. That's how it reports it, okay? Now, if I take my B Savior controller, this is the one that I told you guys is awesome. Okay, and I plug that in and turn it on, it boots up, it says B Savior. I'm gonna push the PS button and I'm gonna pull up the menu. I'm gonna go to accessories, DualSense wireless controller. That's because this is a DualSense wireless controller with a backpack. Now you remember, the Wolverine was reported as controller, okay? So, I know I got a lot of confusing stuff going on here. When I plug in the P5mate back in with my Zen and my wireless PlayStation 5 controller and I go to accessories, it says controller. Exactly the same as what it said with the Razer Wolverine V2 Pro, and that's because they're the same thing. So the PlayStation 5 thinks this is a Wolverine V2 Pro, so they have no reason to block it. And that is why I'm pretty confident, like 99.9% sure, that this will not get blocked. Now, one thing I will say, what if for some reason it's not working, okay? So I'm gonna unplug this, it's gonna disconnect. I'm gonna plug it back in, we'll just see if it just automatically works. I'm not sure if it does actually. Okay, it's not working now. So I can control my Zen here, which I don't know if you guys can see it very well, but for whatever reason, I can't control the PlayStation. This happens sometimes. It does happen sometimes. What you're gonna do, go back to the original settings that we did. This is a PlayStation 5 controller with my USB-C cord. I'm just gonna plug it in here, and then I'm gonna push the PS button. You'll see controller gets connected. That initiates the P5mate, and then I can plug the Zen back in, then I can plug this back in, and now it's all working again. Okay, so it was just that for some reason the P5mate went to sleep in some way and it didn't want to initialize until it had a PlayStation 5 controller plugged into this port. That happens sometimes. I don't have it happen to me really a lot, if ever, but it's usually when I'm playing around with the connectivity, trying to show somebody something. Once you get it all set up, you can power it off, power it back up, and it works just fine. But if for some reason it's not, we've already proven that plugging the PlayStation 5 controller in will wake it up and get the PlayStation 5 working again just fine. You just need some way to actually wake up the P5mate so that it actually shows up on the PlayStation. That's all that we're having a problem with in that case. Now, I'm sure there's tons of other questions, and I'm sure you guys are wondering, what about this? What about that? I can't answer them all. Try watching the video again because the answer might be in here already. If not, hit me up in the comments. Don't reach out to me on social media through any other way. Ask in the comments. The reason I ask for that is because I will answer your question in the comments, and other people may have the same questions and they can see the answer in the comments as well, and we can all learn together. So it's very important. If you have questions, put them in the comments. If we get enough questions, I can always make a second video or another third, fourth, fifth video if we have to, but this will get you connected. I'm glad you stayed to the end. Don't forget any of the devices you've seen here. I've got links down below for you to grab yourself if you want to help support this channel and get those devices.
Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video. We hope you enjoy the content in this video. We'd love to have you come back. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And for those subscribers who are looking for that extra special thing that you can do to support this channel, consider joining our members group. That's where we're building this community, the Gears and Tech community, where we can all enjoy content together. You'll get special perks, which we'd love for you to check out by clicking the link down below. For those of you who are just happy to watch the video, that's okay too. you can check out some of our other content right over here, where we've got some previous videos that have already been uploaded and enjoyed by many of our viewers already. We do hope to see you again. This has been Gears and Tech. Have a great day.